Yo, what is going on, everybody? Lottery Stocks here. Now, we've went over the DTCC, collateral haircut, this whole filing. We went over it in another AMC video. You guys can go check that out if you want. But we have some things coming into play, and I just want to talk about everything, kind of give you an idea. Is the market crashing? Is AMC crashing? Or what's going to happen going forward? Bringing this into factor, and that's why I brought it up. So, welcome to the channel if you're new. My name is Lottery Stocks. I go over AMC, the stock market, plays of the week, different things like that. And we do have a free Discord link down below. Consider subscribing to the channel and make sure, guys, just to drop a comment. Okay, let me know you watched the video and let me know if you've taken anything out of it or taken nothing out of it. Okay, so without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so the DTCC collateral haircuts, this is essentially having people to provide more collateral, so just put up more money for collateral in the long run. This doesn't necessarily mean margin calls, but due to the fact how the SPY and the overall market is trading, people are talking about margin calls, and this could potentially be a thing just due to the fact how hard it's selling off. Now, let's take a look at SPY, for example, today. From the open, from down here, right, 409 to 415. Okay, about a $6 jump to a $10 drop to a $10 jump. Okay, the SPY was extremely whippy, and honestly, if you just pull up the 15-minute chart, this kind of looks like how this day looked right here, and you had much more downside come tomorrow. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean, okay, downside come tomorrow. I mean, you had the same thing here, downside the next day, and it's kind of just expected, right? But let's just say, okay, well, that's not enough factor to play in. What else do we have? We have the Fed meeting starting tomorrow, May 3rd through May 4th. Markets expect 50-point basis hike. Okay, 50-point. They're expecting to raise rates by 50-point basis hike, and this is not going to be good for the market. This is going to dump the market. Now, if they announce less, you could see a push in the market, just a temporary one or whatever, right? Also, recession is almost inevitable. Former Fed Gov Ferguson says, or whatever, however you pronounce that, right? What else do you have? Mortgage rates just hit their highest level since 2009, and home prices are continuing to experience double digits as per CNBC. So the housing market is not dropping as it should be, as it expected to be. Now, what do we have here, right? Why do I have COVID levels drawn out for the S&P 500? Okay, this is how low it would have to go to enter the territory as to where we hit COVID, right? If you guys don't know, when COVID hit, you had a major sell-off on the SPY. Okay, that was right here. This is when COVID hit. This is a sell-off you saw on the S&P 500, and it was the most recent harsh one. Okay, now just to put this in perspective, to see how close these levels are, if you zoom in here, this is actually how close we're getting down to that zone. Now, what levels do we have to watch before we get there, right? Well, let's go over those. Right now, just off of the day, SPY bounced off of about 405, okay? And we expected, at least myself expected it to come down to 404, if not 400 flat, right? The next spot I would say to watch is 404 and 400 flat come tomorrow, especially due to the Fed meeting. And honestly, this gap filled down to 395, right? I don't know if that's really there because we don't have the after hours up here, but it looks like there's a gap fill there. But once we enter under 392 and under 390, all the way down to 372, these are COVID levels that actually the SPY hit during COVID. This would be considered, in my opinion, a market crash. This is over 100 points, over 100-point drop. And from the peak right now, we've hit an overall 74-point drop, so we're actually not too far off. So the market is doing very bad. Hedge funds, everybody's long positions are doing this, right? And we should probably use a red arrow for this. Well, what does this mean for AMC, okay? If long positions are doing this, decreasing in value, right? And, their short positions, obviously, they're dropping them, manipulation tactics, all that stuff comes into play, right? We'll put that to the side right now, but let's take their long positions, for example, right? Selling off harshly, and then you have, let's just say D for DTCC comes in and says, okay, now you have to provide, extra collateral on these, these three plays you have in your portfolio or however many you got. You need to provide extra cash, extra collateral, extra cash for collateral on these plays. Okay, so that's more money, down the drain okay, for these hedge fund managers, whatever. That's why people are saying, okay, well, if this continues, there's going to be margin calls, margin calls, margin calls. And I'd say, honestly, anywhere in this territory, they're correct, right? Because when COVID hit, you saw a lot of stocks move. And honestly, people are saying this is worse than 2008, and I definitely agree. Also, what do we have, right? In 2008, you saw the Volkswagen squeeze. It came down like this, and it shot up, and this was where it squeezed. And what did you see with the market? This is what the market was doing, okay? Except the market continued to sell off, okay? So this is from this point, right, where Volkswagen ran. This is where you saw the margin calls, the second half of the sell-off. Okay, this is a 2008 short squeeze on that. So that is what we have for the S&P 500. Now, honestly, that's really just how it correlates to AMC. We're talking about margin calls. We're talking about when short squeeze. I can't give you an exact date, an exact time frame, but if you just take a look at it, let's just remove all the drawings here. If you just take a look at the chart, right? You could watch 1292. That's the lowest AMC hit, and I'm watching that to come down to it, because ultimately that is what I think they can drop the stock to before a move up, before margin calls, before a move up, or before honestly you see anything substantial. So I'm watching for that level. We missed the cycle period, and honestly this right here looks super identical to this, but this is just something to keep in the back of my mind at this time. So guys, that is what I got for this video. Consider smashing that like, check all the links down below, subscribe, and drop a comment. I love you all. Lottery Stocks out.